What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Khamzat Chimaev teases next UFC fight. During the UFC 314 post-fight presser, Dana White was asked about an update for Khamzat Chimaev fighting during International Fight Week against Dricus du Plessis. Here's what Dana had to say.
I think a lot of people are excited to maybe see Khamzat Chimaev in a title fight. Is there any chance he's being looked at?
That would be fun. Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. Dana says Tuesday they'll decide everything, but it looks like Khamzat might have gotten the news early because he went on X and teased his next fight by writing, "Good news." Are you excited for Khamzat versus DDP? Let us know in the comment section below. Colby Covington goes off on Paddy Pimblett for altercation. Yesterday, we reported a backstage altercation happened between Paddy Pimblett and Colby Covington. Paddy reacted to the whole situation and went off during the post-fight presser. Now, Colby Covington has also released his own YouTube video on his channel, going off on Paddy for the entire situation. Here's what he had to say.
Paddy Pimblett's a little he needs to stop running my name through his mouth. Just stay relevant, because he's just using me to stay relevant, because he's never accomplished anything. He's never going to get to a title fight. He's never going to win a title, period. He's a irrelevant bum. So when he starts cutting all that weight and cutting chromosomes, and he wants to come to a real man's weight class and fight a real man, he can get whooped. So he needs to keep my name out of his mouth. Otherwise, he's going to end up with my foot in his and that's a fact.
Dana White talks about next TV rights deal for the UFC. In recent months, there's been extensive speculation that the UFC will be moving on from ESPN when their broadcasting deal wraps up. But as the exclusive negotiating window between these companies winds down, Dana White is heaping praise on the sports network. Due to technical issues that the ESPN platform has dealt with, and because it's believed UFC pay-per-view numbers are down, it's been rumored that the companies are not on the best of terms. Further, since the UFC and ESPN signed their deal back in 2018, the price tag for broadcasting rights has skyrocketed. So much so, it's been speculated that the UFC is looking to get around $1 billion per year. To put that into perspective, the entire 5-year ESPN UFC deal was worth $1.5 billion. Would ESPN be willing to fork over that amount of cash? Well, during the post-fight presser for UFC 314, White was asked to comment on the promotion's next broadcasting deal. The exclusive negotiating window with ESPN is set to end on April 15th. The UFC CEO acknowledged that the promotion could wind up signing deals with various partners, but he also didn't close the door on ESPN being one of them.
When the window opens, we'll obviously start, talking to lots of different people, and we'll see what the options are out there. We've said this every time. There could be a time when we end up on several different networks like sports, like all other sports do. I like ESPN. I've said it many times. We had a bit of a rocky start, which is normal in any relationship, but we're in a great place with ESPN. Whether we re-sign with them or do not, I have nothing but great things to say about my time at ESPN.
Based on all the rumors and speculation, it doesn't sound likely that ESPN will be the exclusive UFC broadcasting partner in the United States, but maybe the company will be one of them. Who do you hope lands a broadcasting deal with the UFC? Paddy Pimblett reveals why he didn't call out Ilia Topuria after UFC 314. Due to the well-documented beef between Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett, everyone and their dog was expecting the baddie to call out Ilia if he was victorious at UFC 314. Well, immediately after Pimblett put away Michael Chandler, he didn't even mention the former featherweight champion. So what gives? If you watch UFC 314, you know that after Pimblett forced the referee to rescue the blood-soaked Chandler, he mentioned the likes of Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, and Charles Oliveira as potential opponents. Topuria's name did not get dropped. So during the post-fight presser, Pimblett was asked about why that was. The Scouser fighter admitted that he had forgotten about Topuria.
To be honest, I forgot about him. I forgot all about him. Or I would have mentioned him in the cage, you know what I mean? I don't call him hand sanitizer boy anymore, he's now El Chirito. As I say, I literally forgot all about him. That's how relevant he is. I'm ranked higher than he is at lightweight. So, I'd love to welcome him to 155, but apparently he's sitting out and waiting for the title shot. That what I've just done to Chandler's after blueprint of beating him. He's even more of a midget than Chandler is. I'll do the exact same thing to Ilia than what I've done to Chandler.
Pimblett also spoke with TNT after his impressive win over Chandler, and when asked about throwing hands with Topuria, the baddie said this: "Now he should know I'm the real deal. People still underestimate me. I've been ranked 15, got in the rankings. Just beat rank 7. Give me anyone. Ilia, I said I should be the one to welcome you to 155. We can do it now, buddy." Now there's no doubt that prior to UFC 314, not everyone was convinced that Pimblett can hang with the division's elite. Evidently, one of those people was Conor McGregor, who apparently bet $500K on Chandler to beat Paddy. So when Pimblett was asked to comment on McGregor's bet, the charismatic fighter said this: "Cheeky little I didn't expect that from Conor. If you want to come back, I'm here, son. I'm waiting." Do you think there's any chance at all of McGregor coming back to the octagon for a scrap with Paddy Pimblett, which would be a massive fight? And back to Topuria, during the post-fight press conference, Dana White was asked about the star's next bout. The UFC CEO said this: "We're working on it. We got a lot of to do. He's one of the biggest stars in the company. If we had something planned, we would have announced it already." Who do you think will be Topuria's next opponent? Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez at UFC Mexico? A rematch between Alexander Volkanovski and Yair Rodriguez didn't seem to be on many people's radars in recent weeks. But now that Yair is saying that he was told with a win at UFC 314 he would be delivered a title shot, all that has changed. Immediately after Rodriguez's decision victory over former Bellator champion Patricio Pitbull, he reported that Hunter Campbell had promised him a title shot if he won. Then, while talking with the media, Rodriguez said he's not focusing on settling his issue with Diego Lopez next. He wants to fight for the belt. The beef with Diego Lopez can stay aside for now. The only thing I'm looking for now is fighting for that belt. Since Volkanovski stopped Rodriguez in 2023, and because Yair has only recorded one victory since then, one could argue it's not a fight that makes a lot of sense right now. Further, the undefeated Khamzat Chimaev is waiting in the wings, but Volk relayed to the media he would welcome it if that's what the UFC wants. Yair was saying he wants the title shot. He's a good dude, I like him a lot. If the UFC wants to give it to him, I'm not going to stop that for him. But yeah, if I'd be honest, before that fight, I don't think he'd be getting the shot. Now that he's calling it, I'm not going to be the one saying no. I'm going to leave everything to the UFC. Obviously, you've got Movzar, he's undefeated, and I would love to take that 0. We got to see what the UFC says. Volkanovski also noted that he does not want to wait until September to fight again.
September. I mean, if everything's good, I'd probably like to go soon, quicker than that, to be honest. Maybe a quick turnaround with Mosva if I don't have busted hands. We'll see. Like I said, that was my plans. Bang, 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 bang.
Which fight would you rather see, Volk versus Khamzat Chimaev or Volk Rodriguez 2? Patricio Pitbull's UFC debut didn't go his way, but following the fight, the decorated fighter reported he believes he'll cross paths with Rodriguez again. Congratulations to Pantera UFC, we'll see each other again. I'm injury-free and ready to go at any time, UFC. Thank you to all the fans. I'll make you all proud. You can count on that. Who do you want to see Pitbull face next? UFC updates. Let's take a look at some fight confirmations and updates. The promising welterweight scrap between Gilbert Burns and Michael Morales has been moved again. As it's being reported, this fight will headline UFC Vegas 106 on May 17th. Originally, Burns and Morales were supposed to fight this past weekend at UFC 314, but then it was moved to UFC 315. Now it's going to go down 1 week after that. Morales has been establishing himself as one of the more promising welterweights in the game, thanks to a 5-0 run in the UFC. Burns, meanwhile, is looking to end a 3-fight losing streak, but his losses have come against top-tier notable opposition in the likes of Sean Brady, Bilal Muhammad, and Jack Della Maddalena. The UFC is going to host its first ever card in Azerbaijan, and so it shouldn't be surprising to learn that Rafael Fiziev will be fighting on it. Recently, the Azerbaijani lightweight announced he's going to be competing at the June 21st event. Since then, it's been reported that Fiziev's opponent will be Ignacio Bahamondes, making it a must-see scrap. Bahamondes is coming off a submission win over Jalen Turner, and he's won 3 in a row. Fiziev, meanwhile, has lost 3 straight. 2 of those losses came against Justin Gaethje, and the other was due to a knee injury he incurred while facing Mateusz Gamrot. And speaking of the Baku card, Nolan King is recently reporting that Irina Alexieva will fight Claudia Segula at the event. Alexieva is coming off a decision loss to Melissa Mullins in October after winning back-to-back bouts. Segula, interestingly, is coming off a loss to Mullins, who stopped her in November. Segula had won 7 in a row before her loss. Kyoji Horiguchi has officially been booked for his UFC return, and not surprisingly, the decorated Japanese fighter is going to battle a top-ranked flyweight. Ariel Helwani was the first to report that the Japanese star is going to face Russia's Tagir Ulanbekov at the UFC's first ever event in Azerbaijan in Baku. If you're new to MMA and only watch the UFC, you may not know that Horiguchi is widely considered to be one of the best flyweights in the world. Back in 2015, he challenged for the UFC's flyweight title and was submitted by the legendary Demetrius Johnson. Since then, Horiguchi has gone on to hoist Rizin's flyweight and bantamweight crowns, as well as Bellator's bantamweight belt. Ulanbekov, meanwhile, has worked his way into the UFC's top 15 rankings and currently sits at number 10. Most recently, he recorded a unanimous decision win over Clayton Carpenter in January. Speaking of the Baku event, the UFC has announced that Jamal Hill will fight Khalil Roundtree Jr. in the card's headliner. This will mark the 3rd time the light heavyweights have been booked to fight, only to have the other bouts called off. Hill will be looking to avoid a third consecutive defeat as he's coming off back-to-back stoppage losses to former champions Yair Prochazka and Alex Pereira. Roundtree Jr., meanwhile, has not fought since he was taken out by the aforementioned Pereira in October. Prior to that, the Muay Thai stylist had won 5 in a row. And the Baku card has picked up another fight, as Daria Zelezniakova will throw hands with Melissa Mullins in a bantamweight contest. Daria is looking to get back on track after being submitted by Eileen Perez in September. Mullins, meanwhile, is coming off a stoppage win over Claudia Sigula in November. Recently, MMA Junkie reported that Austin Lane and Vitor Petrino are going to throw down at the UFC's July 12th card in Nashville, Tennessee. Petrino will be moving up from light heavyweight to battle the former NFL player. The Brazilian is doing so after dropping back-to-back fights to Anthony Smith and Dustin Jacoby, which were the first defeats of his career. America's Lane is also in need of a win, as he's coming off a stoppage loss to Mario Pinto in March, and he's gone 1-3 in his last 4 fights. Paddy Pimblett goes off on Arman Tsarukyan again. Paddy Pimblett and Arman Tsarukyan have been exchanging verbal jabs, and following the baddie's big victory at UFC 314, he continued to light up the lightweight contender. Ever since Tsarukyan withdrew from a scheduled fight with the lightweight king Islam Makhachev in January on short notice, Paddy has been taking shots at the lightweight. Arman reportedly withdrew from the UFC 311 headliner due to a back injury. Well, following Pimblett's jaw-dropping and dominant victory over Michael Chandler on Saturday, he wasn't shy about piling on Tsarukyan. Case in point, when he was asked about the possibility of fighting Arman next by TNT, he said this: "Yeah, that's another name. Let's see if he ends up taking the fight, because we all know what Arman's like. He'll his undies the night before and pull out, and I can't be dealing with opponents like that. You know what I mean? I want people who I know will turn up, like Michael Chandler, because he turns up." Could we see Tsarukyan and Pimblett throw hands next? It certainly seems like it could be a possibility. After Arman withdrew from UFC 311, Dana White said he would need to fight again before receiving another title shot. So given that Tsarukyan is ranked number 1, Pimblett would very likely lock up a title shot if he was able to beat the powerful contender. But will the UFC go that route, given that fights between Paddy and Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, or Charles Oliveira would likely be bigger? What do you think? And if Paddy were to face Tsarukyan, do you see him winning? While we're on the topic of Arman Tsarukyan, last night he broke his silence on his next UFC fight on Instagram by writing, "Many people ask when my next fight is. I'm calm, I'm training, focusing and waiting for my moment. Sports are not always about fairness, but I believe that if you work, do not give up and stay true to yourself, everything will come. The main thing is to be ready when the time comes." As for Arman Tsarukyan, who do you want to see him fight next? Aljamain Sterling calls out Arnold Allen. Aljamain Sterling is itching to get back in the cage, and the former bantamweight champ's calling for a scrap with Arnold Allen, if the timing works out. Sterling is coming off a unanimous decision loss to undefeated featherweight Movsar Evloev, which went down in December. That fight followed Sterling's unanimous decision win over Calvin Kattar in April of 2024, which was his first fight at 145 in the UFC. Well, recently, Sterling spoke with Helen Yee, and he was asked who he wants to fight next. Sterling immediately tossed out Arnold Allen's name. "I only want to fight him because of the ranking he has. Other than that, he's a tough fight. But if I'm going to take a tough fight, I'd rather take a tough fight against someone who's ranked high. So I can at least roll the dice against tough opposition and someone people actually care about. He's a very popular name, one of England's best." Helen Yee then informed Sterling Allen had told her he's looking to fight again in the summer. They said the summer would be too late because he wants to fight sooner. All that aside, when Allen learned of Sterling's comments, he posted this via X. "Aljo definitely jaying the peen over me. Fair play. Do you think we'll see the number 7 ranked Allen face the number 9 ranked Sterling next?" Joe Rogan demands rule change after cheating at UFC 314. Joe Rogan has expressed his frustrations with a few rules in the UFC, and on Saturday night at UFC 314, he had the same sentiment. And before we continue, we have a favor to ask. Help us reach 200,000 subscribers on MMA Zone by subscribing and turning on notifications for daily MMA content. Seriously, we rarely miss a day. He focused in on one fight in particular, Yang Xiaonan versus Virna Jandiroba. In the final round of the fight, Yang Xiaonan grabbed the fence to try and prevent a takedown. Jandiroba was still able to take Xiaonan down and finish the fight on top. But Joe Rogan was quick to express his feelings on the matter, calling out Xiaonan for cheating and demanding the UFC changes its rules to deduct a point anytime a fighter grabs a fence or eye pokes. It's also important to note that Paddy Pimblett was also accused of fence grabbing after Michael Chandler picked him up for a takedown, and Rogan called him out on commentary as well. This is clearly an ongoing problem, and Joe believes deducting a point is the only option that will fix this. He said, "I feel like it's a 1 point thing every time. If you don't have that, people are going to be encouraged. I think eye pokes and fence grabs, that would stop it. No one would do it if you took a point away every time. If it was just an immediate, automatic point deduction every time you grab the fence, there would be no more fence grabs and eye pokes. It would all stop. They would close the hand every time they reach out to try and create space. And while watching the fence grab on replay, Rogan said, blatant, long holding, clearly cheating. 1 point every time. They should change the rules. 1 point every time there's a fence grab and 1 point every time there's an eye poke. This isn't the first time Rogan has expressed these options. Do you agree with Joe? Should the UFC deduct a point every time someone grabs the fence or pokes an eye? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.